It started with a flat tire. Not in the metaphorical sense, not some poetic unraveling of life, just a literal flat tire in the middle of a busy Wednesday. I was supposed to be picking up groceries and heading home to finish an early dinner before Elaine returned from her part-time teaching job. Instead, I found myself crouched beside my aging Camry, cursing quietly at the shredded rubber and staring blankly at my phone, which had precisely 3% battery left. That's how I ended up at Carl's Auto Station on 9th. A quiet corner shop, half hidden behind a Sunoco sign in a strip mall, run by a handful of grease-stained guys who looked like they'd been part of the scenery since the Nixon era. I hadn't been inside 2 minutes when a man in his early 30s walked out of the garage with a grin that made me pause, too self-assured for someone covered in axle grease. "You need a tire or just directions to the spa next door," he joked, and I forced a chuckle. "Just the tire." "Maybe alignment if you've got time," I replied. "Name's Danny," he said, wiping his hands on a rag before extending one. "Ben," I said. We shook, and something about his eyes unsettled me. Over the next hour, Danny replaced my tire, checked the others, and somehow ended up doing a full inspection while regaling me with stories about cars that practically drove themselves into the shop. I waited in the lobby, trying to ignore the fact that it had taken him nearly 45 minutes to fix what should have been a 15-minute job. I chalked it up to small-town shop rhythm, slow, deliberate, and punctuated with coffee breaks. That's how Elaine must have met him. A few weeks later, when her own car had a brake issue, she mentioned him in passing during dinner. "Danny at Carl's says my rotors are warped." "He's the one who fixed your tire, right?" I nodded, not thinking much of it then. Just a name. A mechanic. But things started to shift. She suddenly insisted on taking her car in herself instead of letting me handle it like I usually did. Her mood began to lift in ways that didn't match our reality. She was humming again, smiling at her phone. She took extra time getting ready, even for grocery runs. The scent of perfume on casual Saturdays. Lip gloss when she went to run errands. I tried not to suspect anything. We'd been married for 7 years, shared the same Netflix queue, the same arguments about thermostats and whose turn it was to fold laundry. But one evening, she left her phone unlocked on the couch, and a message popped up from Dee. The preview said, "Can't stop thinking about last Friday. You looked amazing in that red hoodie. Next time, I'm pulling it off." I didn't breathe. I didn't shout. I just stared. I didn't say anything that night. Or the next. Instead, I made a quiet visit to Carl's. Danny wasn't there, but one of the older guys said he was off for the week. Something about family business in another town. Elaine didn't notice my quiet detachment. She was too busy texting, leaving the room when her phone buzzed, or smiling down at her screen like it was whispering secrets just for her. I started keeping track. Her car was suddenly in the shop again, just 2 weeks after the last visit. So, I waited. I followed. It was a Tuesday afternoon. She'd told me she had a meeting with the school principal. I knew better. I watched her pull into the station, watched Danny emerge from the back and walk toward her car with a smirk that looked like a replay of our first meeting. She didn't get out. He opened her door. She stepped out, leaned in close, too close. Their hands brushed. Then lingered. And that was it. In that moment, my marriage changed from a collection of shared memories to a slideshow of half-truths and lingering touches. The kind you can't unsee. But this wasn't the end of it. No, this was just the beginning. I didn't confront her that night. Or the night after. I watched her sleep next to me, her breath steady and soft, and wondered how many other nights she had returned home with another man's touch still clinging to her skin. I counted the times she'd kissed me, fed me half-truths wrapped in honeyed smiles, and I realized I wasn't ready to explode, not yet. I needed to understand. I needed to know why. The next morning, while she showered, I checked her phone again. I knew the password, her birthday. Her messages with Danny weren't graphic, not in the way I expected. But they were worse. Flirty, full of inside jokes and wistful longing. Emotional intimacy. "Was nice just talking today," one message read. I miss that part too. That part. The part that used to be mine. I confronted Danny first. I returned to Carl's, and this time he was there. Leaning against a rusted-out Corolla, rag in his back pocket, like he didn't have a care in the world. When he saw me, something shifted in his posture, recognition, maybe even guilt. "She's your wife," he said before I could speak. I nodded, jaw tight. "And you're a mechanic who thought he could lift more than just tires." He sighed, not defensive, just resigned. "She told me you were drifting. That you'd stopped noticing her." "Funny," I said, "she never told me she stopped being mine." Danny didn't deny it. He didn't apologize, either. He looked tired, almost regretful. "You want me to stop seeing her?" "No," I said. "I want you to remember this. That you got 5 minutes of what I built over 7 years. And you dismantled it with greasy fingers and sweet words. That's your legacy." I left before he could respond. That night, Elaine came home with Thai takeout and a weird kind of cheeriness in her voice. "Thought we could have a cozy night," she said, setting the bags on the table. I stared at her. At the way she flitted around the kitchen, acting like everything was normal. Maybe to her, it was. Maybe this double life had become her norm. "Tell me," I said, "did he kiss you first or did you kiss him?" She froze, takeout box in hand, her shoulders suddenly rigid. "I followed you Tuesday," I said. "Saw the way you looked at him. Like he was the only man who'd ever seen you." She turned slowly. "Ben." "No," I said, standing up. "You don't get to soften it. Just answer the question. When did it start?" She swallowed hard. 3 months ago. After my car issue, he gave me a ride home. It was just talking at first. Isn't that how it always starts?" I laughed bitterly. "With words?" "I didn't plan it," she whispered. "You were so distant. And you were so impatient," I shot back. "You didn't even try to pull me back in. You just drifted until you fell into his arms." "I felt seen," she said. "With you, it was like I was vanishing." "And cheating made you feel real again?" I asked. She didn't answer. That night, I slept in the guest room. The silence between us was thicker than the walls. In the weeks that followed, we tried counseling. We tried talking. But something had cracked, and every conversation felt like a negotiation over wreckage. Trust, once broken, is like shattered glass, it never reflects the same way again. Elaine asked me one night if I could ever forgive her. I told her I didn't know. That I wasn't sure if I could ever look at a service station again without thinking of her lips brushing someone else's cheek behind a stack of tires. Eventually, we separated. No screaming. No slamming doors. Just two people who once shared a bed, now sharing a lawyer's office. She moved into an apartment closer to the school. I kept the house, the Camry, and the quiet. Sometimes, I see a woman walking by in a red hoodie, and my heart skips for a moment, memory pretending to be reality. But it passes. The thing about betrayal is, it doesn't kill you. It just teaches you that even the most familiar hands can carry knives. I've started dating again. Slowly. Carefully. I double-check smiles, second-guess text messages. But I'm trying. Because not every flat tire has to lead you to heartbreak. Sometimes, it just reminds you that you're still moving. Still capable of going forward. Even on bare rims.